We're on another episode of Salient Point, number 30. This one's for July 16, 2021. I'm your host, Carlos Macias. I am the host of this fine program and also a founder of WeGotComms.com. So please check out the site. We also do another podcast over there called Reasonably Hyped with Dale Bloss and myself, which my co-host right here, as per usual, Dalen Kirkwood. I hope you'll join us for that as well one of these days, Dalen.
Hey man, all you gotta do is officially invite me, and I will show up.
Why do you need an official invite? I mean, you just
because
I
don't know when the heck you be doing these things. You just be sending me links. I'm like, what? You got another one?
Dalen,
all right.
All you have to say is, I feel strong about this. And then I'll be like, all right, let me shut you down real quick. Let's get on the mic and record it. But thank you for being here, Dalen. You're coming up from the mountaintop. No Lee's on the wheels of steel. He's busy, but hopefully we'll have.
He's got a life to live.
He's got a life to live, and that's perfectly fine. We just do a little dumb little podcast here on the internet, right? But there is big news there in the world of video games this time around. Steam decided to make a quick little Thursday announcement, dude. Thursdays are like the days, right? Like you. State of plays, Nintendo does stuff. So Steam,
people with stupid news.
Yeah, they got all kinds of stuff to talk about on Thursdays, man. It's like Friday; they want it to be a low key day. But yeah, Thursday, Valve announced the Steam Deck. It's gonna start shipping December 2021. So by the end of this year, the lowest price you can get it for is $399. Then it goes to $529 and $649. It's kind of a varying degrees of memory there, right? You can go up to I think they start at 32, 64, and 512. They do the iPhone formatting as far as the memory is concerned. But the problem is I think it actually gets a little faster. The memory gets a little faster. The actual guts of the system, which is a custom AMD APU, it's a Zen 2 plus RDNA 2. I don't know what I just said. I just read this. So if it makes sense to you guys out there, I'm happy for you. But it's basically a PC. The deck is going to be sold separately, but it allows you to run a lot of PC programs. This thing is supposed to be Linux based. So from what I understand, it should be able to play a lot of Windows. It should be able to play nice with a lot of Windows programs. The thing that had me sort of excited is that I might be able to run Game Pass, but from what I understand, maybe not. But you should be able to wipe the OS clean off of the face of the planet of this thing. And install a Windows, and then from there, I think you can kind of play Game Pass. But a few codes, and then I'll shoot it to you, Dalen. Gabe Newell did have an interview with IGN. I don't think they've put up the full interview quite yet, so they got a couple clips from it. One of the things he said that it was critical but painful to get it to $399. So that's kind of they're trying to hit that price point, right? The pre-orders start today, Friday, July 16 at 1 p.m. I'm not sure when this podcast goes up, but I think it should be up early. So
tomorrow.
So if you're listening to this and it's before 12 p.m. Pacific time, I believe it's Pacific time, huh? We'll see. Anyways, go check it out if you're listening to this. You might be able to get one if you're interested. They're doing
meantime.
Exactly. And then you calculate it from there, right? So one of the things they are trying to kind of let the scalpers not try to dip into this as much. They're talking about it's gonna be available today, Friday, for Steam consumers. So if you bought something before June 2021, they consider you a Steam consumer, so to speak. But we'll go there, Dalen. Anything from what you've heard so far, and then we'll go on my next point after this.
Okay, so a few things in my regard is when it comes to the amount of space that this thing holds, I really do hope they actually create it in a way that it's easy to swap out the size of the actual memory stick or hard drive, whatever they're actually using.
Oh, it has a flash
SSD?
drive. It has a, what is it? The little external. You know how the Switch has you can put in your own card, whatever.
A micro SD or an SD card
like
slot.
Yes.
That's what you're talking
about. It has
about.
a slot for that. So.
But even though it has a slot for that, it's not the same as using an actual internal SSD hard drive.
Yeah.
Or an SSD drive, excuse me.
Yeah.
But I'd love to be able to actually improve the space on it, especially when these games are already huge on the PC by itself. Because you could have a game like Destiny that's like 120 gigs. I mean, how are you going to fit that on your little Steam portable?
And this is
system?
basically a PC, right? This is basically that's what it's going to be, right?
It's supposed to be the Switch competitor, but I mean, I don't know if it'll really gain the type of ground that they want. Because for me, this thing just looks stupid. I feel like the layout is terrible and is gonna hurt my fingers.
So that's what we're gonna go on to next, right? As far as the guts of it, right? It looks like it's supposed to be about as powerful as an Xbox One and a PS4. So already there, I mean, you're at a smaller form factor, so it should be able to run some things. I know some of the games that people were pointing out was that natively it was running Control, Jedi Fallen Order, so it actually can run good games, right? I don't know what you did, Dylan. You popped up a third screen. Don't do that.
Yep, that third screen. Don't do that. It's a picture of the little handheld game. That's the picture of the thing.
Okay, there you go. So you're gonna pop something up for there. Don't do nothing controversial. If you guys want, well, take it off. I guess if you're not putting on there, because I don't see anything. But
all right.
But yeah. So if you guys, we're on YouTube. So if you guys want to watch this, I don't know what Dalen did. He didn't do nothing special on there. Anyways, yeah, so it's obvious it can run. It's gonna have the juice of an Xbox One and PS4, which at a small form factor set up to 720p, it should be about good enough, right? It should be about good enough to run a lot of games, and I'm sure it's gonna be one of those where teams know what to shoot for, right? As far as the specs of this thing, portable wise. So I think, but going on to what it looks like. The dimensions of this thing, Dalen, is 11.7 by 4.6 by 2 inches thick. That compares to the Switch is about a 9.4 by 4 by 0.55 inches thick. And the difference to me, this is the more upsetting thing. Well, it's already big and bulky. But
it's a big ass Game Gear. That's what it is.
Yes, that's actually in our chat deal. If you were on an iPhone, you would actually see that we've been talking about how it's a Game Gear. It basically looks like a Game Gear. The sticks are inlined, they're not sort of offset, which I think the Switch ones are kind of. I'm trying to imagine what this. I don't have
one stick is up on the left and the other stick is down.
So
on the
it's
right.
offset. So it's offset, right? This one's sort of inline the joystick. Apparently, it feels pretty comfortable though to use it. But the big sticking thing to me is so. If you don't know, Dalen, I don't know if I've told you, but I do take the Switch to work sometimes. So I throw it into my backpack that I take for work. That thing adds some weight to my backpack that I notice when I take a Vita, for example. So the Switch, to give you an example, is 0.88 pounds. And this one's going to be almost 1.5 pounds. And it's bigger form factor and it's bulkier or whatever. Sure.
You make it sound like it's going to kill you.
Well, no, it won't kill me, but I already considered not taking the Switch with me because I'm like, I don't want that extra.
Because of the weight?
Yeah, so imagine I'm like, I really want to play Control on the go. The thing that will convince me, though, I feel, is if Game Pass works and it works flawlessly and I can get achievements on it on the go, playing natively, I don't know. I could be pushed to it. On the form factor itself, Dalen, how do you feel about that?
Well, like I said, I think it looks stupid to me. I hate the fact that the sticks are right next to both the D-pad and the actual buttons, because I know that people with fat fingers or that like to move really fast with their buttons, they're going to start hitting those joysticks and doing things they don't want to do. Additionally, the one thing I do actually like about this thing is the fact that they decided to make a dock for it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, you could have that. You could dock it and still play it on your TV, or I guess your monitor, depending on how you hook it up. And I think that that is still an awesome feature to it. Now, whether or not it'll be as seamless as the Nintendo Switch is, that's yet to be seen.
It's part of their one of the interesting things. So if you guys have a chance, IGN did an interview, or kind of like they ran down some of the features, and they did show the dock. They showed the dock, how it kind of connects into a monitor or a TV or whatever you want it to connect to, right? So, and they did say that you'll be able to use a third-party dock, so you don't have to just buy their dock, which goes into the other thing that they were also saying they're willing to make this kind of an open source type of thing that other manufacturers can make their own Steam Deck. So it's kind of like, well, how dedicated are they to this, So it's going to be, because Steam, they come out with hardware and they just kind of give up on it. I don't know if you see. So I don't think you saw any of the videos or trailers, right? Maybe you didn't get a chance to look at that.
Did not.
Do you see those little squares under the joysticks? Those are track pads. Those are like mouse pads or track
I figured
pads or
that's what they
whatever.
were.
And apparently they work pretty well. They were saying like, oh, it's close to mouse and keyboard, but I've heard that before. So I don't know. I think we gotta try it. But I don't know, man. What do you think? You think you'll grab one of these, or you'll consider getting one?
I will definitely not grab one immediately. I'm gonna see how it rolls out, because people said the same thing about Stadia for a little while, and I knew that wasn't really good.
Well, but that was cloud based though. This one's like you actually have it on the machine itself. So you're not cloud gaming on this thing.
You know what? Just go ahead and get a Soldier Boy console, and you'll be okay.
Also not the same. Also not at all the same. So you're making these comparisons that do not apply.
Joking, Carlos,
do not apply. No, I like it. I like the jokey, but it just doesn't apply. I'm asking about it just doesn't apply. This thing, I don't know, man. I think it's got a good case for me. If it turns out,
how does it have a good case for you? Because even beforehand, Steam games would generally like to break down on my PC, and I see all these videos about how the game suddenly breaks in the middle of you actually going, especially through an open world.
Yeah.
And even though it says that it should be able to actually run most of these games, I do fear, even aside from the console, the shape that it looks and stuff like that, I fear that even with the SSD, that the specs for the system still may not actually allow all these larger games to run properly on the go. Yeah. For example, Skyrim. If anything, they might have to dumb it down in order for it to be able to run properly on this system. But you know that they're not going to do that.
Well,
they're going to try and run that game at full power with full graphics, and you're just going to start falling through the floor.
Well, so this thing is obviously is something that it's like specific specs to it, right? So you should be able to tailor an experience to this, right? Developers should be able to say like it'll run fine on your Steam Deck. It should be able, because it doesn't change, right? The specs are the specs, right? They're the reason I think sometimes you have an issue on PC, and why I hate PCs, by the way. I don't know if you guys are aware, but fuck PCs. Is that you just have all these different configurations, right? You're gonna have different things in your computer versus like the next person, right? So it's not like the PlayStation or the Xbox. This is a little more closer to that, right? Where you have specific specs that you can kind of target and be like, it's gonna run well enough on this. So I do believe in that. But yes, it is definitely one of those, like, we'll see how seriously they take it. We'll see how much developers care enough to say, let me tailor some games to this thing to make sure people have a good experience. Now that is one of the battle of the portables. See, I thought we were done with the battling of the portables when the Vita declared itself, we're no longer going to continue with this. They even wanted to shut down the store on us, Dalen. They were like, we're going to shut it down. So the Switch OLED did go on sale on Thursday, or pre-orders anyways, were taken. And of course, the thing sold out, right? There's immediately, right? And so on this one, Dalen, are you surprised, and is a hype building, or how you feeling about this?
We're still in the middle of a world of scalpers where people even still have a hard time getting a PS5 or even a Switch in some cases. So I'm very much not surprised that these things sold out immediately. I bet you it was a good amount of bots. And the companies that actually put these things up for sale on their sites, they don't care if scalpers buy these games. The fact is that they're still getting their money.
Yeah, but there's still a hype level to it, right? Though that's true. I'm sure bots were involved deeply,
a very large part of it.
Yeah.
So you let me know at any point in the near future who was able to pre-order one of these Switches.
I think we could have, if we were that serious about it. I think we could have. And
Man,
I think
I didn't even know that it went up for freaking pre-order. I missed it entirely because it only went by in 1 hour.
No, but I mean, look, we knew, you follow Wario64 out there, you would know. I saw it and I was like,
actually do follow him.
And I was like, okay, I got. Do I want it? I was kind of very questionable. One of the things that actually got me to kind of push back and think about it was there was a guy on Twitter that he was like, oh, this thing's going to look great when I play Metroid Dread. I was like, fuck. That's what I should have grabbed the pre-order because I want to play Metroid Dread as well.
Now, is Metroid Dread still going to be playable on just the general Switch? Okay,
yes,
then
perfectly.
I'm
yeah,
fine.
See that's the thing. Like I would have been really hyped about getting the Switch OLED if it had a power boost. The screen looking nicer is kind of makes me go, I kind of want that, but it's just not enough to really warrant it. That being said, on Hot Stock,
I'd like to make a correction for myself right now. I'm just going to pause you there, and I'm going to make my correction for myself in regards to OLED, because there was that whole thing we had during our last conversation.
There was a kerfuffle. Okay.
Yeah, organic light emitting diodes. That was the whole term for it. And I ended up doing further research on it, and I realized that even in my own case, that it's really just a thinner, lighter version of a screen. Okay. So even though the screen is going to be slightly bigger, the Switch may actually be lighter, and it's not specifically for giving it higher definition, but it will make it sharper and maybe more bright.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think, and look, I said all this, thank you for acknowledging that I was right last week when I told you.
Shut up on that part.
But that's fine. We
can have this on myself.
We can move on. But real quick, because to me, I was like going back to the Vita, right? The Vita was in 2011, 2012. So that thing had an OLED. And, they weren't talking 1080, they weren't talking 4K or anything like that. But, you're right in the sense that it does make it look prettier, right? But it's just a different form of an LED. But going to the Switch thing, all this talk, dude, I might be convinced I have my Hot Stock alerts. So you guys should go to Hot Stock, put an alert, and make sure to click.
You over here putting people on blast and you over here trying to get... What, you trying to get advertisements for?
I'll take any and all advertisements, any and all. But we need to get them. We need to get them. But anyway, well, I just
so you're trying to get sponsored right now.
Yeah, I'm down to get sponsored and everything. Please to sponsor us. As far as that's concerned, I think I have an alert ready. I'm still, not exactly super sold on it, but I don't know, dude. I think. Maybe it's possible. People start talking about Metroid Dread and playing it on a 7-inch OLED. Damn, I don't know. I might be right.
You're gonna feel like you're missing out on something when you could just put it on your Switch, dock it, and get an entire TV.
Well, you could do it either way, right? I mean, you could do it with this one as well. But I do more portable Switch gaming. I don't know about you, but I don't really I don't use it on my dock on my TV as much.
Honestly, and don't you have 2 Switches already?
Yeah, but none of them are OLED 7-inch. I mean, what are we even discussing here?
Get rid of one of them and then get the OLED.
All right. Anyway, so that's it. I'm just a little more hyped. They've sold out. We're seeing the battle of the portables out here. One is coming out in October.
It's starting to come about.
Yeah. So Sony needs to come back, dude. They need to come back with the Vita 2.0. They got to be like, fuck it, we're doing it live.
With everything the way that it is, they might actually do it. And if they do, it'll most likely sell. Just like the PS5 did.
The Steam Deck is going to be a good it's going to be a good kind of testing ground for that. I think we'll see how it actually performs. The only thing what it does have for it though, of course, is that you have your whole Steam library for it, right? So it's definitely one of those like Sony, how do you compete? I mean, we're talking about PC.
This is how you compete. Sony says we're going to make our own system. And we're going to let you put your entire PlayStation library on it. That includes Vita, PS4, PS5. Yeah. Hey, you never know. If it's powerful enough, they might actually do it.
I don't see it, but possibly.
You don't see it happening, but they could do it if they wanted to put the money into it.
No, I'll bet you a couple bucks on it, Dan. If you want on the rest,
I bet you a couple bucks. It won't happen.
It's not gonna happen. It's not the same, right? It's not the same thing. Steam, honestly, this is kind of like how we were talking about earlier. The fact that this is kind of I see it as like when I heard them talking about how it's like, oh, we're willing to license this to other manufacturers or whatever. All I could hear was like, oh. Really, the Trojan, it's the Trojan horse to get Steam out there, to get more people into Steam. So they really couldn't really care much about this. This is just the vessel, right, to get more people on Steam.
It's for the interests.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll see how it goes down. With that, the Switch comes out, Switch OLED version edition. What are they calling it? Model. That's a very fancy term.
Switch
The
OLED.
That's the official name. Switch OLED model comes out October, and then the Steam Deck in December.
Actually, one last thing I will actually state, just a quick point, is I did see the potential leak of PlayStation combining with, or at least working with, Netflix to try and compete with Game Pass. So if they ended up doing something like that and it actually does work out, they could do that with the mobile system. So that would actually be a way to compete in the market.
I haven't heard anything about that, so I'll have to look that up. Maybe for next
You're
episode.
welcome to look it up. I actually did
for
look
next
that
episode. Maybe for next episode. Because you be bringing up some stuff like, who did you talk to? The GameStop clerk again? That's who's telling you? That's where you're getting your news from?
So we'll see. This was news that I read just before we started.
We'll come around to that probably next episode. The quick things to mention this time around. Hideo Kojima was actually talking about so Death Stranding is coming out, right? Death Stranding Director's Cut is coming out, which I'm kind of hyped for it. We did talk about it. I'm willing to spend the $10 to upgrade to it. But Hideo Kojima actually is against calling it a director's cut. And this is a quote from his Twitter. He said, quote, "A director's cut in a movie is an additional edit to a shortened version that was either released reluctantly because the director did not have the right to edit it or because the running time had to be shortened. In the game, it is not what was cut, but what was additionally produced that was included." Well, this might be a misspelling on his part, right? He says Director's Plus, but let's assume he means Director's Plus, right? So in my opinion, I don't like to call it Director's Cut, and that was on his Twitter. What do you think? He's making some kind of fair points there. Right? What do you think?
He made the case of English. Like, he's like, you know what? I know English better than these people right now because the definition of a director's cut is putting back into the movie the things that ended up getting cut, putting additional things on top of the game that just weren't there before and beyond the game that he originally created. That's just the definitive edition.
Yeah,
that is just the game plus DLC. That's all it is.
I think it's just a matter of, because I think he makes a good point, but Ghost of Tsushima is doing the same thing, except I think in Ghost of Tsushima,
they're doing a DLC and expansion.
That's
a director's cut.
So that's the difference, right? For Ghost of Tsushima is that, yes, it's the DLC in this one. So maybe that's what it was, right? Maybe they should have said like, well, the thing is, I think with this director's cut, they're not trying to sell you anything new, right? They're trying to tell you that, we're adding these extra things, but it's not DLC. Because in the case of Ghost of Tsushima, they're selling you that stuff. They're selling you that extra content.
So again, the point being is they could have just called it the definitive edition and they'd have been fine.
That's fair. Maybe he comes out. Maybe he gets his wish, and it's like you're saying, definitive edition or whatever it is, instead of directors. Because Kojima was right. I do like, I do like the smoke, dude. Because this is his game, right? This is, instead of okay, that's what the marketing department came up with. He's like, no. That's not what a director's cut is. I know you guys. That's what you guys are trying to sell it as, but no. Hold on, that's not. So I like it. I like the smoke that he throws out there, even for his own game, right? That you would think is like, I'm trying to sell it. This is what it's called.
Now I wonder if the marketing department is going to catch on.
I don't know. I mean, they might have already printed it. They might be already stamped and ready to go.
It's too late because it's gone too far.
Because it's possible these games were just quickly restamped, right, with the PS5 logo or whatever, and the update gives you all this stuff, right? It's possible. They've done these kind of shenanigans before. Anything else on that, Dan, before we move on?
No, nothing else on that specifically.
So I know this next one, so I'll let you break this down, Dalen. I know you're pretty hyped about Genshin Impact is getting this 2.0 update, right? That's dropping July 21st, so that's in a few days, actually.
Yeah, it's in a few days.
Break it down for us, Dalen.
So my big thing about this is I ended up stepping away from the game, even though it's still coming out with all these other free updates that they actually have created. And obviously it's one of those gacha games, and it's a good way to make you want to spend more money. So it's hard to continue to play it without spending money. But with the new update, it actually made me happy to see it because it was a big problem to me. So the first thing in regards to this massive update is the fact that it's called the Immovable God and the Eternal Euthymia. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Already, like, this is some Weibo stuff. I don't want it in my life.
But they did create three new areas for people to actually travel around, which comes with new quests, new monsters, and bosses to fight, along with a couple of new characters right off the bat that you actually get to interact with and get to learn their stories. So at the same time, it feels like they are actually expanding on the main story and, of course, doing it for free rather than just like a side story for people to actually just go in and do some stuff and then go away. It's not just an event. It's actually an expansion upon what they already have. Now, the part that actually made me happy was that the studio confirmed that in Update 2.0, it would allow players to share their progress across the PS4, PS5, and all other playable platforms. Now, the reason why that's exciting to me is the fact that it's all other playable platforms. Because when I first started this game, there was a point where I wanted to actually play with another one of my friends. I think it was Jeremy Lowe, as a matter of fact, and he liked to play on PC. And I could not move my file to the PC, and it was so upsetting. I sat there for like 2 hours trying to figure out if I could actually move my file to the PC, and it was just the most upsetting thing to find out that I couldn't, because then that forces people who started on the PS4 or the PS5 to have to play with other people on the PS4 and PS5 because they didn't really have the crossplay when the game
like the cross save or whatever, right? Or
they didn't have the cross play.
Okay. So have you dipped into it? Like, when's the last time you kind of dipped into this game?
I have seen Nicole dip into it, and they have made their smaller updates in order to try and keep that 60 frames per second going, and to try and actually enhance some.
Now, who is Nicole for the internet to know who you're referring to, Dalen?
Nicole, my wife.
Okay, there you go. Now people know. They're like, who's Nicole?
Yeah, there you go. But she played it a little bit, and I got to see how it got a little.
Well, so you've seen it. You haven't been interested enough to like jump back into it then.
But the way this is now, I might actually.
When is the last time you actually got on the sticks and played this game?
There was an event where meteor showers were actually hitting the planet, and you had to go and collect all these little meteorites. And I think they still have some of those things there. It's like the Starborn.
So that was a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 years ago.
No, that was more like half a year ago.
Okay, that's reason. But this will get you back in, so you'll be there July 21st. With the update
it won't be there July 21st, but I will update my game and I will try it out.
All right, so you'll report back on that one. So Genshin Impact, I'm glad that they're still doing things. They're still making the stuff happen, and you'll drop another $100 on it, Dalen. That's fine.
Heck no, I'm gonna stay away from that altogether. Maybe $10 for the monthly pass.
Hey, that's how all the addicts start, Dalen. Maybe $10. Maybe I'll get a little taste of it here.
But the last thing is that they said that they were going to actually include haptic feedback and lighting effects. So that's going to be good for the PS5 goers.
All right, so I'm glad that I know you got into. I tried it a little bit, and I was like, you know what, I'm good. I'm good. These little characters are so annoying
because you had to hit level 25 before you could actually play multiplayer online with other people.
Dude, not even like Destiny tells you to do that crap, dude. Or Red Dead. We were just playing Red Dead Redemption last night, and even that one's like, all right, it's 20 minutes or whatever. This thing was asking you to level significant levels amounts of level to play online. So I'm not down. I don't know. We'll see. You said they lowered the requirement for that to play with your friends, or no?
No, they did not lower the requirements to play with your friends. But what they did was when you're playing online, they changed the interaction system with other people's worlds. So it's not as much of a letdown when you join your friends.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see if it convinces me. If anything, I see from it. The next thing here, this is a funny thing that they announced because it blew up on the internet. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was announced, and that's dropping fall 2021. It's like it's obviously a kids game, right? And I'll hit up Deo out there. I know he was talking about Ratchet and Clank. He kept calling it a kids game. I was like, it's not a kids game, but I could see his point of view. This is definitely a kids game, but we kind of grew up on it. I don't know. I don't know if I could speak for you, Daily, but we grew up with
I'm gonna say
these
this:
cartoons, you know.
Smash Brothers did the same thing.
Did what same thing?
I mean, it was basically games that we grew up on,
Oh,
and they
well,
took
yeah.
some characters and mashed them into one place.
Well, yeah,
And
you can't. Yeah, you can't deny that they were the originators of this style of game, right? It's the original Smash Brothers, right? They're like,
and
we're
they're
gonna
using
throw.
they're using your childhood memories and
Yeah.
saying, let's make your childhood memories fight, and
Yeah.
then let's just try and make it exciting enough for kids who want to play it.
Yeah, look, I just feel like that's an obvious point, Dalen. I'm sorry to say,
No,
but
but
obviously,
the
of course,
All
that's
right,
what it
so
is.
what
Of
I'm
course,
getting
that's
to
what
is
it
the fact that they tried to do the same thing with
Yeah.
PlayStation All Stars.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a childish thing. They actually used some of the newer characters and tried to
Yeah.
create a fighting game and change the battle system a little bit. And that game
Yeah.
kind of failed last I checked.
Yeah, you know what though? It was on Vita though. It was on Vita,
Yes, it
and I
was.
did actually play it on Vita. I think I got like a trophy or two on it. But yeah, so this is Nickelodeon's version of that, right? A little brawler. We've seen a couple of these, come and
Yeah.
go, right? So the main characters on here are gonna be, well, the big ones, of course, are like Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, Hey Arnold characters, Are Real Monsters, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are gonna be on here, and also they're kind of poking around on the internet. They're saying that Korra from The Legend of Korra and Aang from Avatar should appear on here. But the big thing, Dalen, is that it's gonna have a rollback netcode, which I don't know what that means. Maybe you can help me out here with that. But it's to help with potential lag, right? And it's something that not even Virtual Fighter 5 uses. And I know I don't know if you saw that in the chat you're actually in, that I threw in the little Nickelodeon All Stars using rollback code. Meanwhile, all these serious fighters are not using it. So what does that mean? Is that a big deal or not necessarily?
Really, to be able to sync what's happening on the system. So if you have without rollback netcode, you're basically doing it live, and it is all up to your internet connection on whether or not you're actually seeing what's happening on the screen.
Okay.
Versus rollback netcode, where they will actually do a full connectivity situation, and it's kind of like live TV versus actually having a 3-second delay. That's the huge difference here. Using the rollback netcode, they're trying to actually eliminate that, like they do for Rocket League, but you're still going to end up having the same issues. If your internet goes down, you're going to have packet loss.
Well, and in a way, it's like trying to predict a move right before it happens or whatever. It's kind of what they're doing.
Like they it's basically preloading all the things that you can do in that fight. So that way, when you are doing the stuff, it knows where to go in order to get that information, and it doesn't have to rely specifically on the internet for you to do that move.
Yeah. So I mean, did you get a chance to look at it? I mean, it's clearly a ripoff of Smash Bros. Like you're mentioning, right?
I saw pictures of it, and I was like, "What is this, and why is it happening?"
It looks a little.
It is another one.
It looks a little foolish, but look, I it could be good. It's possible, it's possible. It
might be fun for a minute. I'll give it a shot, but I don't know if I want to pay $60 for something like this.
They got Reptar in there. They got the Invader Sim. Although I will say, Invader Sim guy and the Phantom, Danny Phantom, or I didn't really grow up with those. I don't think, or at least I didn't watch them too much. But it's a Smash Brothers ripoff, man. It's gonna have good netcode. So it's gonna have good netcode apparently. So we'll be all right. The last one, Dalen, I feel like you'll have plenty to say on this one. I hope. Atlas confirms that they're working on Persona 6. They actually found this was via a recruiting ad. They were actually saying this was the Atlas director Naoto Hiraoka. He said, "Thanks to a large amount of support we received for Persona 5, we have gotten a sense of accomplishment, but we can't stop there. When we created Persona 4, there was the pressure that it had to exceed Persona 3. Now we will have to create a 6, which exceeds 5. However, exceeding 5 will be difficult with the current staff. I would like to surpass this tall hurdle with everyone who joins us in this recruitment. The workplace is perfect for those who want a creative challenge when it comes to bringing games to the world." Dalen, what is this guy talking about? Or at least what are your expectations of what you would like to see of a Persona 6?
All right, so Persona is very well known for their story base. and along with the lore that they actually use the tarot cards world in order to actually put these monsters in it and to create the I can't even think of the word that they actually use for the game because it's been over a year since I finished it. But it's when you have a relationship with other characters, with the relationship system that they have. So the relationship system and the storyline are two big parts of the Persona games, and if they can't resolve that and make it fun, or at least a slightly new compared to the previous games, then you're just going to have a copycat of the previous game, and you don't want that. And on top of that, when you went from Persona 3 to Persona 4, you went from people shooting themselves in the head to people jumping into TVs. And then you went from people jumping into TVs to people trying to steal people's hearts. So there's
spoilers,
this gimmick
but that's fine,
that
I
they
suppose.
have going on for each one.
Oh, is that so? They got to find out what the scenario is, kind of.
Yeah,
I guess.
as long as they can build
vehicle.
a good scenario and keep their monsters going in this world, they're going to be just fine. And on top of that, the creators of Persona, I think it's level 5 or something like that. They're very good at saying, you know what? If you think the game
I don't
is
think
too
it's
hard,
level 5, Dalen, but that's okay. But that's okay. Somebody,
I can't remember who was playing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's we said it earlier. It's Atlas. But Atlas is basically saying, you know what? We're going to create this game with the difficulty that we built it with. If you don't like it, go play something else.
Yeah.
They're just building a game that they think will be fun. They are not trying to specifically pander to the newcomers of the series. They have a perfectly fine, big enough fan base, and even with that, those other people that want the creators to actually pander to being an easier game or to try and dumb it down, they're still like, no. This is our game. If you want to play it, then play it.
Yeah, so the developer is called P Studio. P Studio, but it's basically within Atlas, right?
P Studio are now the ones that actually focus on the games themselves.
Yeah.
Before it was just
it's basically Atlas. Atlas
Yeah.
is definitely the publisher. Atlas Sega, right? Because Sega's involved somehow, right? As well. But yeah, you know what? I did try to play. What was the last one? Royal, and I did like sort of the
5
story.
Royal.
Yeah, I did.
Oh
like
no,
the
actually,
story,
didn't you play Strikers at some point?
Is that what it is? Strikers. Yeah, Strikers.
Yeah, because it was Persona 5, then Persona 5 Royal.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I
Strikers.
like the gameplay of it too much. So I kind of want to play the more traditional one. But I did like the story. How do you feel about these guys in their 6th year of this series or whatever? They're still in high school. Apparently, it's still set in a high school. Do you feel like they need to graduate or something? It doesn't matter. That's not really the point of this stuff.
They're all different characters, man.
Okay.
Every time you have a different Persona game, they are loosely connected, very loosely connected. The only thing that really connects them is the Velvet Room.
Okay, got you. So in that sense, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just the series that is set in high school. Different characters is set in high school. All right, so does this get you hyped, or do you got to see a little bit more? Like you're saying, they need to figure out what their vehicle is, right? What their quote unquote gimmick of the next
so
one
for
is,
me,
right?
I'm excited to find out what they do with the next story, because I'm all in for the story and the world that they create, because that's the biggest fun part about their Persona series for me so far. But in regards to whether or not I am 100% gung-ho to just outright buy it regardless of knowing what's going to happen, no. I'll wait until I figure out what's actually going to happen.
Have you played? Have you played?
I'm not worried about them. They're always okay.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good series, right? And I think they hit their stride maybe. I mean, they were probably good all the way up to it, but I remember 3 was like this is really good. This is a
Persona
really good
3 Fest is when they hit their stride. I didn't even know about Persona until like really know about Persona until Fest came out. I mean, I was playing, and I brought this up in a previous episode, Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. Because it's still by the same makers.
Some more weeb stuff, but that's fine.
That it's not weeb stuff at all. But
something Nocturne or something that you just mentioned. Come on, Dalen. Come on.
Let's
Dalen.
stick with Shin Megami Tensei.
Let's stick
right?
with its weebo game, but that's fine.
Dang, why are you calling everybody weebs? I don't think the fan base of the Persona series would appreciate you calling them weebs.
Okay, you know what? That's fine. Look, I like the games too, but that's fine. They're a little,
hey man, I'll call Danganronpa or whatever that game is. I'll say they're weebs.
I played that one too. See, all this stuff, I feel like I can say weeb because I will give them a shot. I will try them. So Persona 6, we'll see what comes of it. I still got to play through some of these, man. I haven't like fully played through them. I've kind of dipped a little bit into all of them, but I need to actually stick to one. Maybe whatever the Vita one was. I feel like I need to kind of go back.
Persona 5, Persona 4 Golden. That was the Vita one.
I'll mess with that one for sure.
I can tell you right now, all these games, when you get to the end, they become very existential suddenly.
Spoiler, but that's fine. Dalen, what have you been playing, man? Or do you got to kind of bring it up, or do you want me to start, or do you know what
to type in, and I just failed to do so. Okay. The two games that I actually beat both of them, luckily on the same day, was I talked about it a couple of times, was Star Wars Fallen Order, and I will say right off the bat, if you have the choice, please play the updated edition because my game, I mentioned Nicole before, she was watching me play it and she was witness to this game breaking on me while I was trying to play it on Xbox One. Man, my character, he wasn't supposed to have a lightsaber.
Is that how you play? You played on the Xbox One that that you're borrowing?
That you let me borrow indefinitely? Okay. Yes.
Indefinitely, yeah. That's the borrowing is the indefinite. Okay. What? And you don't have it on PlayStation? It was free, right? Or no? It wasn't.
No, it wasn't free. It was on sale, but it wasn't free.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. So I was playing it, and there were points where there was a point where I wasn't supposed to have a lightsaber. That just happens periodically throughout the game, but I wasn't supposed to have a lightsaber, and suddenly my lightsaber on my back turned on, and it looked like I was running around with lights on my back, and it didn't make no sense. And then I got stuck in a wall when I tried to jump.
Yeah, but that's not game breaking though. But that's not game breaking. It just looks weird.
I had to reset my game.
Okay.
On 3 occasions, I had to reset the game because I could not move forward because I was stuck somewhere or something broke.
Okay, that is game breaking. That is the literal definition of game breaking. Okay, got you.
So, if you have the chance, I'd say make sure you play the updated version so that potentially you don't have those issues. But all in all, the game itself was extremely fun the whole way through. All the extra stuff that you could actually get in that game, you could just disregard it. It is very easily a
critical pathable
game.
You didn't critical path it, right? You dipped into the extras.
For the most part, I went and did a lot of the side stuff, which is mainly just collecting the other chests that are in the areas, because I wanted to have full force and full HP.
All right.
That'd be the only reason.
How long to critical path, Dalen? How long to critical path this game?
Specifically, if you weren't going and looking for all the chests, I probably could beat that game in maybe 8 to 12 hours.
Okay, maybe.
A lot of it was you get to a certain point, it becomes very Metroidvania if you want to get all the chests, because you literally have to run back through each area in order to go get those chests that you couldn't get before. But some of those chests are the stim packs that let you heal yourself. So if you want those stim packs, the only thing I'd say look up to actually go get are the golden chests. That's it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those that I'm kind of interested to kind of go back and tinker with, because it was a cool enough game. It just got really hard. It just got really hard real fast. And then I was like...
just the blocking thing.
And then I was like...
the blocking thing down, you're good.
And then I was like, let me play something else. All right. Anything else, Dalen, that you played?
The other game that I played was Foregone. I had brought it up previously, and it's one of the side-scroller games that I decided to actually go for. And Foregone is also a fairly quick game, and the secrets are fairly easy to spot, or at least they should be. I ran into a lot of secret areas as I was just running through the game. I only did really one playthrough of the game, and it's a fairly short game. My only issue with the game is that some of the bosses are a little too easy. Okay. So other than that, the game was actually extremely fun. You have
this is sort of like a platform game, right? Is that what it is?
It is a side-scrolling platform game. It's a little Metroidvania, but it's in the form of levels.
Okay. So all right, I feel you on this. As far as what I played, Dalen, I did play a little more Red Dead Redemption 2. We played the online, like I said, on Thursday.
That update came out, right?
And we did do a couple of the missions. That game was pretty fun, man. And I keep forgetting that the GTA or the Rockstar Online is like, they're actually building cutscenes and stories around this stuff. So that was pretty cool. I'm sure we'll play around. Thank you for opening up a bag of chips, Dalen, to crunch away over there.
You're welcome.
Dude, why? I don't understand.
Haribos.
Yeah, but why mess with the audience like that? Leave them alone. Yeah, so Red Dead Redemption 2, tried the online. I'm sure we'll dip back into that. The campaign, dude, is so good. I mean, it's still kind of like the weird little, you're pushing along and you got to let the inertia catch up to your character, kind of, right? It's not an immediate reaction that you kind of expect from other games, right? But it's still cool. It looks beautiful. The cutscenes are nice, and it's probably the most serious maybe Rockstar game, right? Because they all have a little bit of satire to them, right? Going back to the original Grand Theft Auto 3.
A little craziness in each
one.
A
little satire to the games, but it still has some of that. It still has some of that humor. But it's more quote unquote serious game, right? So
it's grounded. It's more grounded.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep playing that. It's still a fun game. I'm like at 13.1% or something after like playing 10-15 hours. So
yeah, but the thing is that even though that percentage is there, it's still a Rockstar game, and they're still using the Grand Theft Auto type engine, or at least the sandbox. So in order to hit 100%, you have to do everything.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. Yeah, so I'm assuming you hit 50, 55 or 60%, right? That's kind of story complete or something. So I'm gonna keep playing that. That's been pretty great, man. And I've been using my headphones, so I don't use my headphones a lot for gaming.
You used to.
No, I never really did. It's really mainly for campaign. Otherwise, if I'm playing multiplayer, I play with the Shinty headphone that came with the PlayStation 4 because I don't need to hear you guys in higher definition at all. So it's really campaign. Like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, I played through it with headphones. This one I'm playing with headphones, but with the audio is nice, man. The audio is super nice in this game. The other thing, real quick, because I didn't get too much into it, but I did play Mario Golf Super Rush a little bit more, the story mode. The writing is pretty good, man. The writing is pretty good. There's quite a few chuckles in it. So if you guys want like something that gives you a few chuckles, I heard it's not that long. So make sure to try that out.
Now, cool. As you're playing it, are you actually gaining new levels and characters to be able to play with?
I
remember.
Don't think. I see. That's why I only kind of sort of dipped into it. So I have to come back to it. But I don't even think I hit the links or whatever you call it. I was walking around the base. I was like taking my cart to wherever I needed to go. It's like a little tiny story mode, Dalen. So I hope I'm guessing you haven't dipped into it yet, right?
Nah, I've been too busy trying to beat Star Wars and stuff.
But it's portable. The Switch, you don't put it on your TV whenever you go out and about. Oh, the thing is you work from home. That's the thing.
Even aside from that, my other issue is the fact that sometimes I just don't feel like playing a video game.
Well, I mean, that's fair, but
am I not allowed to just relax and stare at the wall? Can I do that?
I mean, you could do whatever you want. You can stare at the wall all you want. But yeah, no. So the story mode, I heard is short. I heard it's fine. You can kind of check that out. The other game that I'm not quite sure how to feel about it is The World Ends With You. I'm playing that one because a new one comes out. I think in a couple weeks actually, or maybe next week or so. This coming up soon.
Don't hurt yourself.
It's a weird little game, man. I don't know if you ever got a chance to play, but it's all stylus. You all play it through the stylus. You either tap or slash, and you use these pins to kind of figure out what you're gonna attack in the world. I think I'm a few hours into it, and I'm still not exactly sure what I'm doing. I think I'm like, because you go by,
not sure what I'm doing.
So you go by days, right? It's like day 1, 2, 3, or whatever, right? Like you're playing a game. They call it a game, and it's the Reaper's game. You're one of the players, and it's funny because some of the like little icons in the game are like the old school flip phone icons. Right, so they're obviously playing on that, right? Like, oh, this is my phone, and it's like, oh, that's right, I had one of these flip phones. And they also talk about memes at one point. It's like, what's a meme? And it's a completely different thing than what we know memes to be, right? Like, and I'm like, huh? So they're talking about memes in 2007, but it's
like this was very meta of them.
Yeah, but it's completely different than what we know memes about. Like their memes are, oh, you can kind of infect people's brains, and well. Maybe that's what memes are. Maybe they were ahead of the game. You infect people's brains. So I don't know how to feel about this. I know it comes out on PS4, the sequel. So I kind of want to play it there. But given that it's started as a stylus game, and it's a dual screen. You play with the stylus on the bottom screen, but on the top screen, you're actually using either the face buttons or the D-pad
Hey,
to
I'm sure they'll adjust their world for it because what was it? Kingdom Hearts. They ended up going from a full game to their smaller game where you had the top and bottom screen. Castlevania had their full screen, obviously, for years, and then they put it on the DS and they had their top.
well,
and bottom
yeah,
screen.
but those were
It's just
different.
a DS thing. Now that it's not going to be on DS, then we could say, hey, let's use the touch screen for the Switch.
I gotta hit you up on this, Dan. I gotta hit you up on this because your comparisons to tonight have not been on point.
Wait,
at all.
How is this
because it's not because this game.
My
so
point
no,
being
no,
is
no.
that you're taking the world starts with you, or the world ends with you, and you're going from DS to Switch or another system.
PS4 is the thing.
PS4.
But so I understand what you're saying, that the screens are flipped on some of these games or whatever. But no, this game is like, it's played on the it's like the what is the Zelda game that came out that you play with the stylus. That's how you're moving around on that one. It was all on stylus. They haven't even talked about porting it to anything else because it's like you're definitely
what is he talking about?
You got to check it out, man. It even came out. I remember when that game came out, it actually even came with the feather stylus that I found the other day. I was like, I got a feather and you play it with the stylus. I don't think I played.
It's not that. It's not that to the beat game, right? It's a
No, not to the beat. It's definitely a Zelda adventure type game. I wish it had buttons. So
I wish it had buttons. That's the point.
The point is, I wish it had buttons. So I'm interested to see what they do on the PS4 because I definitely want to play the PS4 version of it. Right? I'm not trying to mess around out here. That's fine. I'm playing it on DS now, but so I'm interested to see how they kind of adapt it because, like you were saying, was they do have to adapt it, right? Not that you're right, because I still don't feel like it's an app comparison.
Yeah, they're gonna try and make it be touch screen for your PS4.
Dude,
come on, Carlos, you know they gotta change.
Hey, imagine that they're using the PlayStation 4 Dual Shock controller tap screen. That's gonna be horrible, man. And I'll report back on that. I'll report back. Well, that's what I've been playing, man. We're gonna leave you guys on this one. So this one, when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, Dalen, I think you had a hot take on it. I was excited for it. I wasn't as incensed about it, I don't think, as you were. But now that I think about it, it's kind of messed up. So the Zelda and the Loftwing amiibo is getting delayed for some people. I thought it was for everyone, but apparently not. It's coming out today, July 16th. And it's supposed to give you fast travel in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, right? I didn't put the name down. So apparently, because of unforeseen shipping delays, unquote, some people will be getting it late. So it was supposed to be out today, but some people might be ended up getting it in August. How do you feel about this, Dan? Are you glad that some people are like, well, good for you?
I feel like I might need to just pick this thing up as soon as possible. Not just the game, just the Loftwing and Zelda thing. Because if I'm going to play the game and the option of fast travel is supposed to be there, I want that option of fast travel. Imagine if these things are no longer sold or you just can't find them anymore. Then you will never have fast travel.
You would hope Nintendo would like update this at some point, right? Where
exactly.
It's like maybe not immediately because obviously they're trying to sell these amiibos and all that, right? But at some point you would hope that, or at least get. I hate to even bring this up.
You seem upset. What's wrong?
Well, I hate to even bring this up, right? But they could even, as a little DLC, $5 unlock fast travel.
Pay for your map.
I mean, even if they have to do it that way, but it's terrible, dude. I mean, I know you were pretty incensed about it last time we brought it up, but now I kind of feel you on this. It is kind of
hard right now.
It's pretty horrible, dude. It's like, really, you're tying fast travel behind an amiibo that you have to pay, and now it's delayed. So people that were looking forward to it, right? And it's like, yes, I got my amiibo. Boom, let me fast travel. They can't even do it because some of them might, it's not gonna be here till.
Well, ain't that just a zinger?
It's a zinger. There you go. That's why we call it the zinger at the end of the show. The Suez Canal strikes again. Well, that's been a show. Salient Points number 30 for July 16, 2021. I'm Carlos Macias, your host. Dalen, thank you for joining me as per usual up in the mountains.
Hey, man, OLEDs. We need more.
OLEDs apparently are not OLEDs unless they're hitting 4K. So we'll leave you guys with that. All right. See you guys later. See you guys next week.